Hello everyone, this is Quadrant giving you a shoutcast, and now game 3 in this matchup between Liquid Huck and MoonGlade here in the Delta Quadrant. We have MoonGlade spawning as the purple Zerg player at what I'll call the 8 o'clock position, and now Liquid Huck spawning as the red Protoss. If you guys do not know who MoonGlade is, I've introduced him in the past. He is what I am considering to be one of the best, if not the best, Australian player. He plays on the Southeast Asian servers. Liquid Huck needs no introduction, part of Team Liquid, as we now see him moving out to set up a 9 pylon, and then this probe will move along its merry way and do some additional scouting. It looks as though, yes, Glade is going for a 9 Overlord, followed by a drone. We'll be able to queue up a lot of drones in just a second and get a very strong economic opening. Probe is now doing a quick cross scout here on the Delta Quadrant, making sure that to see if his opponent is a crossmon. And the reason why a lot of Protoss players do this is what you're really trying to look for is you're really trying to see whether or not your opponent is going to be going for an early hatchery. And then normally if it is an early hatchery, it is at this front door location, which is relatively close. So it is actually going to be the closest possible spawn for Liquid Huck. Huck should be able to put a lot of pressure onto this hatchery when this hatchery does get placed down. Not even a question of if, but when this hatchery gets placed down, as I have never seen a Zerg player try to go one base, especially in high level play. I've seen it done in Diamond and in Master League. It usually doesn't work out all too well unless it's just a pure cheese or a Baneling bust. We now see one Overlord just gaining sight over here. We'll be able to see the pylon, does see that gateway, and now up walks this one particular probe. The probe will quickly see that there is a spawning pool next to the hatchery, and now pretty much gets all the information he needs to. Glade currently about to get up into 100 gas, and we'll see if Glade transfers any of those drones off of gas. It looks like he is, and wow, getting exactly 100 gas, and now getting that metabolic boost, and now training up a queen before he gets any lings, and now perhaps waiting for the lings. Now, yeah, they're training up a pair of two lings, 2 pairs of lings. Yeah, there we go, 2 pairs of lings. Yeah, I had to think about that one for a second. We can now see a Cybernetics core currently being warped in. It looks like another gateway. No, only just a pylon being placed down, as Liquid Huck has a lot of chrono boost, but it looks like he's going to save it for that early Stalker and also for that Cybernetics core to research that warp gate. Are we going to see a double chrono boost? There's one. No second chrono boost that I can see. And now it looks as though, yes, Huck is just going to be running off of one gateway for a little bit of time. Zergling's now already putting pressure onto this gateway here. You can see the chrono boost now coming in. Oh, Glade could move his Zerglings over and try to get a little bit more room, but it looks like the Stalker will be able to show up in time. And will this be a repeat of that first game? One Zergling now trying to back off, now able to escape there. Damage was dealt, but not enough to seriously do any damage towards this gateway. The gateway still has plenty of shields left, and it will be able to recharge that. And now that we are getting a sentry, that Stalker does not have to worry very much longer. Zerglings may try to peck away once again. Oh, now going after that Zealot, and that is a mistake. Sacrificing 2 Zerglings there to try to take down 35 shields on a Zealot. That Zealot will be able to regenerate those shields in just a moment. And now Zerglings coming down over here, taking down this proxy pylon, and that was already set up by Huck. So Huck, yeah, going to lose this proxy pylon very easily. Down it goes, and now those Zerglings will move along its merry way. A Stalker and a Zealot now on its way out, and now, oh, in comes a probe. No, there is that force field. So the force field is down, but that is going to be a problem. The Zerglings may be able to run through, and if the Zerglings are able to run through that position, that is going to be very bad, as many probes will get taken down. One Zealot trying to hold off a very large number. The Zealot now going to sit in that position there, able to just hold off against a swarm of Zerglings, and now the Zerglings are simply inside the base once again. Probes now coming off the mineral line. Zealots now warping in as well. Zerglings trying to get some damage in. And now one Zealot needs to sit in that position. Otherwise, more of those Zerglings will come and now flooding back in. We can now see one Zealot there, but the Zerglings are perhaps going to try to take down that gateway instead. As the Zerglings are now running around, running rampant through the base, it looks like these 3 gateways are not going to be able to be powered very much longer. And now those Zerglings are going to try to come back in. One Zealot holding off against an army of Zerglings. And there's the force field stopping them in their tracks once again. These sentries need to fight back against more of those Zerglings. Another force field needs to be dropped down. There you go. One poor Zergling stuck underneath the force field. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. More Zealots still being warped in. These sentries trying to fight back against an ever growing number of Zerglings inside the space. 2 Zerglings now are all that are left, and the front door is now completely wide open as Glade was able to bust it down, and now a lot of damage has been dealt. But if you take a look at Glade, Glade only has 13 drones, so he does not have that many drones either. Those spine crawlers haven't suffered that much damage. I don't believe that I missed out on all too much in terms of, I don't think there were any units inside the base that, taking a look at the losses, yeah, taking a look at the losses, it looks like it was just a massive number of Zerglings that were taken down. And now a Nexus trying to be warped in. This Nexus will get quickly canceled as the sheer number of Zerglings are going to be able to force a cancellation or a destruction there. One Overlord now splattered over here, and now an army of Zealots and Sentries trying to hold off on that front door. Now, this is one of those situations where I would say Banelings are absolutely incredible against a mass Zealot Sentry army. And it looks like Glade, maybe he watches my shoutcast, I don't know. It looks like Glade is now going for that Banelings nest, and Banelings are just so powerful against early Zealot Sentry, just because the majority of the time those Sentries have so little energy as they're trying to corral those Zerglings, that when the Baneling finally comes, the Baneling is able to get a decent amount of damage. Only the Sentry is able to take it down very, very effectively. The Zealots do not want to try to fight against a Baneling, as it's like unwrapping a bomb. It just explodes in your face as those Zealots are just wandering around on the front. Liquid Huck now trying to establish a new expansion over here, as we now see Glade trying to get more and more drones. He is getting 5 Banelings, and these Banelings are currently just sitting here, and this is going to be very, very bad. Zerglings now trying to move out. Banelings now moving out, and there we go. A lot of damage being dealt across multiple Zealots. Many of those Zealots are now in the red. They are just going to get picked apart, but the force fields protecting those sentries was critical. And now you see that there is no standing army whatsoever. 2 spine crawlers, 1 queen with a transfusion. It may be able to deal some damage, those 2 spine crawlers. And now a queen needs to get a little bit more energy, and those 2 spine crawlers perhaps a little bit too dangerous, especially as Zerglings are now flooding down the ramp and now going to be ready to turn into a deadly green present. Admit it, you thought I was going to say something else. We can now have 2 spine crawlers here, Banelings on the ready, Zerglings on the ready as well. A lot of creep tumors allowing these Banelings to move at a very, very fast movement. And now in comes some Stalkers as well. Zerglings not going to try to do a nice, decent surround. Banelings just wandering around back and forth. Those Banelings need to get away. Those Zerglings now got to be careful as well, as those Banelings trying to run away from those Stalkers, and now going to simply just sacrifice themselves against those Stalkers over here. Spine crawlers and a queen now trying to engage as well. A lot of sentries here. Zerglings are going to be able to pick off some of those Stalkers down on that low ground, and now in come those force fields, offering a pocket of protection. Yeah, I'm sure Big Ben would have liked that a little bit earlier. Anyways, sentries now pulling back. Stalkers are also pulling back as well, as the damage is starting to rack up. Taking a look at the economy, 23 drones versus 30 probes. Income-wise, we are about even. Gas, though, you can see that Liquid Huck is mining twice as much gas. He should be able to get higher tier units, but he is still only at tier 1. Gateway units with the cybernetics core. We also see a forge as well. I guess this is tier 1.5. Gateway units with cybernetics core. A forge also in play as well. Stalkers are on the move. Zerglings attempting to take down this one set of destructible debris over here in order to set up another expansion. And now we are going into roaches. Surprisingly enough, after 13 minutes of gameplay, Glade is still at tier 1 as well. Zerglings could have just surrounded that Zealot. Yeah, that Zealot, not going to get taken down, as there are 3 force fields very, very well, almost slightly well placed. A half a step over, and many of those Zerglings would have been caught out of position once again. A lot of Zerglings now perhaps trying to do a flank here, and 1 spine crawler here. Zerglings are now going to simply try to run into the base here, get some damage on top of those probes. Probes are now just getting slaughtered over here, but now we have those Stalkers trying to fight back against these spine crawlers. And now a flood of Zerglings will be coming in just a moment, finishing off many of those Zealots and those Sentries. One Sentry in a very, very nice pocket position in that corner, able to hold off against a lot of Zerglings there. And now level 1 weapons upgrade coming in for those Zealots and those Stalkers and Sentries. So those Zealots are going to be able to start two-shotting those Zerglings, effectively killing them 33 or 66% faster. Stalkers now trying to engage. Zerglings, however, are going to be able to no swarm as those Sentries dropping down more force fields. Army-wise, 1300 versus 1925. More production coming in, and it looks as though Liquid Huck needs to retreat and regroup before in order to make sure that the level 1 weapons upgrade is completed before he tries to move out again. Now going into a robotics facility, perhaps for Immortals, as there are a lot of Colossus. Those Stalkers need to pull away. And now what, 6-7 Stalkers in a very, very tight ball, making it very difficult for Zerglings to get a decent surround on those Stalkers. One Stalker being left behind in order to activate that Xel'Naga Watchtower. And now a hatchery is being placed down at the gold mineral patch at the 6 o'clock location. So a real back and forth game here between Huck and Glade and MoonGlade still. Army-wise, 2175 versus 1775. And robotics facility nearly done. Level 1 weapons upgrade is completed. Zealots are going to be able to deal 18 damage per attack instead of just 16, allowing them to take down Zerglings like a hot knife through butter. Stalkers now trying to pull back as well. An Observer first being trained before we have any Immortals, as the Observer will be able to detect any of those units. And now in comes some Roaches and some Banelings. Those Banelings, however, got to be careful, and those Photon Cannons are getting a lot of damage, perhaps of some Force Fields, in order to try to trap some of those units. And there we go, Baneling making a nice splash there, and now melting away many of those light units in the back. Stalkers are now trying to fight back and forth. The robotics facility has been taken down. More Force Fields are laid down, making it very difficult for those Roaches to engage. And now Glade losing much of his army, not really realizing how fortified Huck was, especially with his additional level 1 weapons upgrade on his Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries. So those Sentries dealing 7 damage per attack, Stalkers dealing 15, and those Zealots dealing 18. Zealots once again trying to move out, maybe able to get some more attacks in. Once again, more pocket protection here. Very, very nicely done by Huck, and Huck now looks like he will be able to counteract the rest of this army here, try to push. It looks as though Glade will only be able to train up some units, a few units at a time. Wasn't ever able to get up a very, very strong macro, and then able to... And now Glade says GG. So Liquid Huck playing very, very effectively, even though his front door was busted down by Zerglings. He was able to get back into this game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Liquid Huck and MoonGlade here in the Delta Quadrant. Stay tuned for Game 4 in this series.